The 2020 Emmys show was a lot more entertaining than I would have expected given the circumstances. I'm not saying that it was as good as any other year, but whenever I heard about this show and I heard that they were just going to be, live streaming it, it just sounded like, why would you watch that? And I was a little bit afraid that when you stripped away the pageantry of this awards ceremony, it wouldn't be exciting at all, and it would actually dull my enthusiasm for future award ceremonies when they actually get back to the pageantry and the ceremony. But they actually did a remarkably good job. I'm happy to say. I think, obviously this isn't the most watched program on TV anymore, but they managed to put together a pretty decent show under the circumstances, and I have to give them credit for putting the effort in to make this as entertaining as possible. Now, when it comes to the awards, I didn't agree with all the picks. Some people I really liked won, some people that I probably didn't think were the best choices won. But overall, it's one of those things where I've long maintained that if you get an Emmy nomination, you're in the club. Like, you're someone who probably could as easily have won as anyone else. And then you have to factor in all the different factors that go into actually winning, such as politics and other factors. So essentially, this year, though, it was kind of surprising in some awards that came out. I think I've heard repeatedly people call the first part of the ceremony the Schitt Creek, portion of the Emmys, because it seems like Schitt Creek was taking home virtually every award. They really dominated the comedy category. And I have to admit, I have not watched this show. I started the first season of it, and it didn't really impress me, so I can't say. I have family members that love this show and swear it's amazing, so I'll go ahead and give it the benefit of the doubt that it probably deserved all these awards, and I would probably know this if I had watched later seasons. But obviously, we had Catherine O'Hara win over a very, very competitive category for lead actress in a comedy. And lovely actress. Don't really know what she's doing here, so can't really speak to whether or not she was the most deserving or not. Obviously, Eugene Levy, another very, very pleasant actor, won for lead actor in a comedy series for Schitt Creek. And this is where things start to get really ridiculous, is Daniel Levy won for outstanding writing for a comedy series for Schitt's Creek. They did, and they gave out outstanding directing to a comedy series to Schitt's Creek as well, which to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because when you look at the shows that are listed, I feel like it's pretty obvious this should have gone to Matt Shackman for The Great, or Daniel Palladino for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, because say what you will about Schitt Creek, I really don't think it's very cinematic television in comparison to the other two I just mentioned. But this year they were going out of their way to give lots of awards to Schitt Creek. Supporting actor in a comedy series, again, Daniel Levy, Schitt's Creek. Supporting actress in a comedy series, another Schitt's Creek award goes to Annie Murphy for Schitt's Creek. Again, so lots of Schitt's Creek actors winning, and Schitt's Creek won Outstanding Comedy Series. No big surprises there. It pretty much won everything it could possibly win. Outstanding Variety Talk Show Series. No big surprise here. They continue to give it to John Oliver. I personally prefer Stephen Colbert and Trevor Noah, but I can understand this choice. Lead actress in a limited series TV movie. This, to me, seemed like a lock. I heard some people saying they thought it was going to go to Cate Blanchett or Shira Haas, but it felt pretty clear to me from the beginning that this was going to go to Regina King, and it would take a miracle for her to not win this. I personally don't think she was the most deserving, but again, it's one of those things where that's just my personal opinion, and I recognize that overall consensus was that she was the best, and it was never really within. There was really no question she was going to win this, and I feel the vast majority of people wanted her to win this. Lead actor in a limited series TV movie. Now, this one I thought was going to go to Jeremy Irons, even though I preferred Mark Ruffalo for I Know This Much Is True. If you've seen I Know This Much Is True, I meant to review it on this channel, but there was a little bit of a time crunch. But Mark Ruffalo is just sublime in that. His performance is definitely the best performance in a limited series this year. And I've seen all the other performances. I would have felt very, very bad if he did not win this award, and thankfully he did. Very, very deserving. If you haven't seen that miniseries, I highly recommend you check it out. It's well worth your time. Outstanding writing for a limited series or movie. Damon Lindelof and Cord Jefferson for Watchmen. Again, I felt like Watchmen was just going to take home virtually every award it could, so this wasn't too surprising to me. The only thing that I thought might happen is that the Emmys might be giving it a ton of nominations, but not really intending to award it anything because it is a comic books based property. But I kind of expected that not to happen because I just felt like it was topical, it was timely, and it had a huge body of critical and audience praise behind it. So I kind of expected this to happen. I'm not actually too fond of the Watchmen miniseries, and I find myself in a minority here because the vast majority of the people who don't like it have terrible reasons for not liking it, and I just felt that it wasn't as good as people say it is. But I acknowledge that the critical consensus is that it's amazing, so this is not a surprise. Unorthodox won Best Directing for a limited series or movie. I actually would quibble with this one because I did not think Unorthodox was particularly well directed. I think that I don't know what you would point to and say that it was well directed exactly. There wasn't anything I noted while I was watching. The framing of the shots, the shot composition, all of it was relatively mediocre, in my opinion. Personally, I actually think that Lenny Abrahamson should have won for Normal People. I had problems with that show. I didn't think it was perfectly written, and I had a lot of problems with the behavior of the characters. But one thing I did not have a problem with was the directing. It did an amazing job of portraying the internal lives of these characters. So I actually think that Lenny Abrahamson would have been a much, much better choice. Supporting actor in a limited series. Again, not really a surprise. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II for Watchmen. Just looking at these nominees, the only thing that could have kept him from winning was if the fact that there were two other nominees from Watchmen in the category. That could have split the vote the way it did to Game of Thrones and allowed Julia Garner to win last year, although she might have won anyway, so who knows. But that's the only thing I could have seen keeping him from winning this award. He seemed very much like a lock. Again, maybe not my choice, but he's a solid choice. And honestly, looking at this category, I don't see anyone more deserving. So, supporting actress in a limited series. And the winner was Uzo Aduba for Mrs. America. And she did a fantastic job, totally deserving. I personally probably would have preferred Toni Collette for Unbelievable, but this is a good choice. I think that if you watched that show and saw her performance as Shirley Chisholm, she was very, very strong. Outstanding TV movie. And the winner was Bad Education, which, this is really the only one in the category that I would argue felt like a movie, so I guess I would not quibble with this one. I feel like a lot of people might have wanted El Camino, a Breaking Bad story, to win, but to me that just felt like an unnecessary epilogue to Breaking Bad, and it didn't really feel like a movie, so I kind of prefer the choice of Bad Education. Outstanding limited series. This is no surprise. Now, to me, this was not a tough category this year as it might have been in previous years, but Watchmen was far and away the one that I knew was going to win the minute the nominations were announced. It was just no question that that was where the critical mass was with. Now, outstanding reality competition program. I watch absolutely zero reality TV, but this one was pretty obvious. It goes to the show a lot. RuPaul's Drag Race. Lead actor in a drama series. And this one was probably the award that I was most excited about and that I really, really was looking forward to the most. And I couldn't be happier for Jeremy Strong winning for Succession. Brian Cox was also in Succession, and he's in the category. But to me, the show lives on Kendall's performance in season 2 and the amazing, amazing character arc that he undergoes. So he would have been my choice, and I kind of thought that he had a good shot based on some indications that I was seeing. But I was concerned that it might go to Brian Cox, honestly, but I really, really wanted Jeremy Strong to get it, and I couldn't be happier that it did. Lead actress in a drama series. And this one is one of the more surprising winners, I felt, and it's Zendaya in Euphoria. Now, her nomination itself, I would argue, was very, very surprising, and I'm not saying she was undeserving. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it was a surprise nomination, but she's just not this. It's not the type of show that typically gets nomination, and she's not the type of performer that typically gets nominations. She's a relative newcomer, and she's the youngest person to ever win in this category, I believe. So that makes her win quite surprising. This was probably the tightest acting category, in my opinion, because any of these performers could have won, and they would have all deserved it, in my opinion. So Zendaya winning I would describe it as a pleasant surprise, and it's probably going to be kind of the moment from this year's Emmys that people remember the most in terms of awards going to actors, because I just think it was unexpected, and it's so not the norm to have a young actress in a series that's kind of nominally for teens win. So that was an exciting surprise. Outstanding writing for a drama series. I don't know how this doesn't go to Succession. So I'm glad it did. Went to Jesse Armstrong. Obviously, some people haven't discovered this show yet, and some people it's just not their cup of tea. But to me, it's so brilliant. I don't even have words for how amazing the writing is. It's funny enough that if it was a comedy, you wouldn't quibble with them nominating it in that category. But it's also has these dramatic beats and this commentary on modern day America that I think is just fascinating. It's a great show. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it already. Outstanding directing for a drama series. Andrzej Barek, Succession. Again, I don't know exactly which episodes he directed, but Succession is, in my opinion, the best show of the year. So I'm sure this person was deserving. Supporting actor in a drama series. Billy Crudup, The Morning Show. There's a lot of people in this category that are very, very deserving. I personally would have liked to see Nicholas Braun or Matthew McFadden win for Succession, but I imagine that there being 3 Succession actors in this category probably made it hard for any of them to win. So Billy Crudup was a very, very good performer in The Morning Show. And everyone I talked to who watched that show thought he was the scene stealer. So I'm glad to see him get this award. He's very deserving. Supporting actress in a drama series. Julia Garner, Ozark. I don't know that she's my favorite choice, but she is really good in that show. And it's her second win for Ozark. And honestly, when I look at the actresses in this category, I personally feel that she's created the most memorable character of the group. So I'm not going to quibble with this nomination, with this win either. Outstanding drama series. Well, it's my favorite drama series of last year. It's Succession, and I couldn't be happier to see it win. I feel like it's a little bit of a niche show, so I could understand why people would have wanted to see something a little bit more mainstream, like Mandalorian or Ozark or Stranger Things win. But to me, Succession was without a doubt the best show of 2020. So those are just my thoughts. If you're new to the channel, I'm Drew. Please leave your comments down below. Let me know what you thought of these winners and of the ceremony in general. If you are interested in seeing more videos like this one, please consider subscribing. And as always, you can watch more videos right now.